The Canadian government has a warning for people traveling to Cuba, urging them to, quote, exercise a high degree of caution. Ottawa says worsening shortages of everything from fuel to food could affect resorts, and that the unpredictable situation could lead to changes to flights on short notice. The warning also notes long lines at gas stations have led to altercations. Tensions have increased in recent weeks as the U.S. moved to block all oil from reaching Cuba, pushing up prices for food and transport. Well, when we have questions about travel, we often turn to this gentleman. McKenzie MacMillan is a managing partner at the Travel Group. And when you first heard this upgraded warning for Canadians, what was your reaction?
Yeah, I wasn't particularly surprised. We've been hearing for quite some time now about issues with infrastructure in Cuba and problems with availability of things like fuel and food shortages. So it wasn't particularly surprising that the government took this initiative to add this extra level of advisory. We call this a yellow advisory, so this is not a avoid travel or avoid all non-essential travel, but it's just meant to make sure travelers are prepared for what could or could not happen when they're in destination.
How do you deal with customers in that situation? So if I walked into your office and said, I'm actually thinking about that all-inclusive resort in Cuba, given this warning, what do you say to me?
Yeah, it's absolutely just about giving the facts and trying to keep things without being too sensationalistic about what might be going on down there, but just stick to the facts and understand that these aren't inevitable risks, or they're not inevitably going to happen, but they're just something that has a possibility of happening or a possibility of affecting your trip, and you just need to be aware of it and then make your own decision on whether you're comfortable with that risk or not.
And now you, as I say, don't currently have clients in Cuba. Over the years you've had people that you've gone. What would you say to somebody who's looking at, let's say, Cuba or St. Martin's or, some other place that's nice and warm? Sure. Given this warning, would you try to dissuade them from going to Cuba?
I think it's kind of, I let my clients kind of speak for themselves and understand, let them know what the risks are, let them know what the benefits or disadvantages are of every destination, and help them to make the decision themselves. One thing about Cuba is important is that for all-inclusive travelers, which majority of Canadians that travel to Cuba are visiting all-inclusive resorts in either Veradero, Cayo Santa Maria, Cayo Coco, or one of the other beach destinations, is that they're not the same as all-inclusives in places like Mexico or Jamaica or the Dominican Republic, which are the other three major destinations in the Caribbean for all-inclusive. Cuba is definitely more rustic. It doesn't have quite the same creature comforts that you'll find in, say, Cancun or Puerto Vallarta. And so we just make sure we manage expectations, and so people understand that. Now, with this advisory, we're finding that people that travel to Cuba over and over again are not fazed by this advisory because they are aware of what to expect, and it's not the reason that they go there. They go there for the beaches, they go there for the Cuban population is so welcoming to Canadians down there, and everyone that I've spoken to has had such a great experience there. Having said that, if you don't know what to expect and you're expecting a 5-star, Cancun resort, you might be disappointed in Cuba.
Yeah. And what about the implications for when you're outside the all-inclusive resort? So ground transport, let's say, to and from the airport, or part of this warning is because of the fuel shortages, there could be changes to flight schedules.
Absolutely, yeah. That's definitely the area that the government advisory is probably more aiming towards. The resorts will have their own backup generators, and through last year when we saw a lot of these power outages happening, the resorts were pretty much unaffected. But when you're taking those excursions out, or if you're not going on a resort holiday and you're going to explore on your own, say Havana or one of the other cities in Cuba, definitely there are going to be some implications as far as issues with lineups for gas or food shortages at grocery stores, that type of thing. So for people that are doing that, it's definitely worth weighing out what the risks are kind of looking like right now.
One last question.
Sure.
Insurance. What are the implications for insurance?
Insurance, this is a huge part of anyone's trip, especially to a place like Cuba. If you already have travel insurance and you're looking to cancel your trip, unfortunately, generally it has to be a orange or a red level advisory, which would be an avoid all non-essential or avoid all travel advisory. That would be what would trigger you being able to make a claim on your insurance as an acceptable reason to cancel. That being said, if you have a trip booked right now to Cuba and you are planning on continuing to go, it might not be a bad idea to get some travel insurance now, because if there is an incident or something happens in Cuba and the government updates that travel advisory to an avoid all non-essential, you're then covered and protected in that if that happens.
And given that it's at the yellow level now, are insurance rates going up, do you think?
It's really hard to say. Right now, we will get an advisory if something is considered a known risk. So at this time, the issue in Cuba is not considered a known risk as far as it elevating. So no, the premiums will pretty much stay the same. With travel insurance, you're primarily paying based on how much you're paying for the trip, how old you are, and how long you're going for. So usually what country you're visiting doesn't really play a part in what the insurance premiums would be.
Interesting. We have seconds left. The bottom line is you don't want people to be alarmed, but just to have their eyes open if they're thinking about Cuba.
You bet, absolutely. And check the travel.gc.ca website for any updates and advisories. The Foreign Affairs Office is very good at updating that, and it's a really, really good resource. And also, if you are concerned, make sure that you register with Canadians Abroad so that the federal government knows that you're in a destination when traveling.
You are a fantastic expert to talk to about these things. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
McKenzie MacMillan, a managing partner at The Travel Group.